Well, hello all. I'm really excited today because we are being joined by a talented Grammy nominated artist, a rapper and singer known for her captivating style and unique voice. She's here to talk about her latest release, The Bridge. Please welcome Raja Kumari. Hello, Raja. Welcome to our show, CNN News 18.
Thank you for having me. I love that intro. I was like, tell him, CEO, let's go.
Well, Raja, you finally delivered your pandemic baby. Can you tell us a little more about the inspiration behind your new album, The Bridge?
Ooh, this album was made very differently. It was made with just the core team of 4 people. That was my COVID pod. It was my engineer, my producer, and my childhood best friend that we wrote music together. So this album was made in a very personal way. So I was free to be more vulnerable, I feel. And I think in the past, I've talked about identity, duality, and, kind of been on the surface. And I think this album is really different because it's written as a project. So from beginning to end, you go on a journey and it takes you through some of the emotional, topics that I delved into during that time. So, just going through, hitting rock bottom, asking God, for direction. God is like a very big part of this album. Finding self-love and some of the first love songs I've ever put out, and ending with a record like Fearless, which is an enormous kind of huge pop anthem about, the resilience, that you have to make it. So I hope that people listen to it and feel inspired and hear things that they went through, and maybe, let it be a part of their soundtrack of their life,
Well, Raja Kumari, your album, The Bridge, was being produced and written and being worked upon during the times of pandemic. Can you share with us some of the personal challenges or the production challenges you faced while creating this album, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, it took 3 years to make the project. I feel like when I talk about this album, the reason people keep asking me like, what's your career highlight? And I start like spinning all these like amazing people I've worked with, and I just like land on this project. And I'm like, I did it. Like, this not only was a challenge production wise, I mean, obviously it was a lot easier because it was just one team, like it was very much an in-house project. So I had the freedom to go over the mixes hundreds of times and like change one, like turn up the gunguru a little bit, like I had the freedom to really, really like make this album my own. So that was kind of the blessing. But I think you were saying the challenges of the pandemic. I'm sorry, what was the exact?
Okay, Raja. Well, why a Desi stage name?
Why a Desi? Well, I mean, my blood. I mean, people ask me if I'm Indian. I had to get that to prove it. Desi stage name is because I'm a classical dancer. So they always called me Kumari Sweta Rao. So Kumari's always been a part of my name. And when it came time to start my music, Sweta Rao, my name was already a classical dancer that was known in India and around the world. So if they came to a Sweta Rao show, I wasn't going to be doing, Bharatanatyam Tilana. I was going to be rapping. So Raja Kumari was because people would call me Indian princess in high school. So I had an obsession with Sanskrit. I always thought it was like so cool. And I wanted to make a superhero, that was like a combination of like Mahishasura Mardini, Satyabhama, like every super, like Wonder Woman. So Raja Kumari was born.
What was the creative process like for when you were writing or producing this specific song?
Well, this is my first independent release. I've been signed to major labels for about 7 years. So I made the decision to go independent last year, and it's been a process, but this one is definitely my baby because from the photos to what songs to the order to, deciding to get it done in Dolby Atmos, every decision was mine. And, it's a very personal project. So I'm very proud of it.
Well, Raja Kumari, you've collaborated with some big names in the music industry from the West like Iggy Azalea and Gwen Stefani. You have also collaborated with many Eastern artists like the Pakistani singer Ali Sethi. How has the difference of East and West been like?
Collaboration is key. I love that about my career, that I've been so lucky to collaborate with very diverse artists. So I get to challenge myself, step out of my box, and I don't feel limited to what people know of me because it's a brand new scenario, especially for films. I get to have a lot of fun, and do different things. But this album is different. There's no collaborations on this album, which I realized was very rare for me since everything was really about my collaborations. So I think being a fusion artist is in my DNA because, I am the bridge, one foot in the West, one foot in the East, one foot in the ancient, one in the future, so I think fusion will always be integral to like the music I make. But the topics and what I'm saying is a lot more deeper and mature, and I think more universal. You don't have to necessarily be Indian to relate to what this album is saying. So I feel like that I'm really happy about that. That feels more authentic to me in my life now.
Well, Raja Kumari, addressing some of the trolls and backlashes that you've faced in the past on social media, some critics have accused you of cultural appropriation in your music. How do you respond to such claims?
How can you exploit your own culture, bro? Like, it'd be a different conversation in 2016 if you didn't know me. But like my entire life since I was 6 years old, I did 3 classical dance styles. I toured India at 10 years old. I did a 15-city tour, spent every summer of my life there. I studied comparative religion with a South Asian degree, and I've lived in Bombay for 6 years. And I lived there because I knew that it was incorrect for me to represent India if nobody knew me in the streets in India. So at this point, I wear all Indian designers at every major global moment that I have. I showcase Indian designers. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I did this long list, and that's the long list. That's the last time I'm going to do it. But for me, you cannot exploit yourself. Like, look at this. I said it so many times, even in Made in India. Dekhna tu mera ye chehra. What am I supposed to say? They know I'm made in India, baby. What do I do?
Raja Kumari, you recently performed with the Pakistani artist Ali Sethi at Coachella. How has your experience been like?
Well, Ali Sethi is like one of the most amazing vocalists that I have met in our time. Like, it's just, I was lucky because I had the in-ears when he was doing like his riyaz on stage. And I was like, oh, it's like in my ear. So I'm a huge fan of Ali. Pasoori is a song that has like united the world. You see it everywhere. It's, it's such a beautiful record. So I'm personally just a fan of the song. So when Ali invited me to perform at Coachella, Coachella is one of the biggest stages in the world. And this year was very much like a South Asian, like we called it Desi Chella, like a South Asian Mela, basically, because Diljit was there, Jay Wolf, Jay Paul, Joy Crooks, Ali Sethi was there. I believe that's everybody. Oh, Charlie XCX. But like everybody was there to celebrate each other. And because this huge moment was happening, I was just so like excited to be a part of it. And it was my first time performing at Coachella, and the first time I was singing in Urdu, like live. So it was a personal, win. And, Ali is such a beautiful human and such a great artist. So it was one of my favorite collaborations.
Can you sing a few lines for us?
ਵਾਰੀ ਮੇ ਜਾਵਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਵਾ ਗੱਲ ਸਾਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਢੋਲ ਜੁਦਾਈਆਂ ਦੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਖਬਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਦਿਲ ਤੇਰਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ.
Okay, Raja Kumari, since you have talked about your therapy, mental issue has long been a topic, a taboo topic in India. And as a result, many people who are struggling with mental health issues have felt ashamed or stigmatized to come out in open and ask for help or talk about it. What are your thoughts for my viewers on this pretext?
I totally understand the taboo. We all come from the same culture, but I feel like Deepika Padukone has been speaking about it. And I feel like that super was empowering. And I loved how she was so like courageously sharing her story, because people see beautiful people or successful people and they think that like they don't have troubles. But I think what's important is, for me, I would explain my therapy experience this way, and maybe this will help people. I have a designated person that has no loyalties to anybody else in my life that for 1 hour, I get to unload my emotions and they can tell me from an outside perspective, maybe some patterns, draw my attention to the ways that I'm reacting or taking things in. It gives me a week to kind of think about, I do take those things really personally and that ends up hurting me. And then be able to go back and talk to that same person. Because sometimes with your friends, if it's all about you for an hour straight, you'll feel bad. You'll be like, man, I didn't even ask her about herself. And you don't get the chance to really like have an honest mirror. So like for me, like I think like it's been really helpful because there's a lot of noise in my life. Like outside of all the things I'm doing, all the hats that I'm wearing, I have the internet. And the internet loves to tell you and amplify every small thing that you think about yourself. You can find it that someone thinks that exact same thing and they were willing to tell you. So the internet has played a role because it's like this place that's given me the power to share my life with people, but also given people the power to come and invade my energy. So therapy has been really helpful just to have like, just something balanced every week. I know I have an hour for myself. It's almost like a self-care thing. So I would encourage some people, you don't have to be rock bottom and like pulling your hair out to go see a doctor. I mean, for me, I definitely hit a moment where I had like an anxiety attack and I was like, what is this? How is my chest tightening? Like I'm a person that can walk on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Like, how am I being this overwhelmed alone in my house? And then it just taught me to lean into my body, understand myself, and not be scared. Like if your chest tightens, your heart chakra is speaking to you. So I've done my own research to start connecting the Eastern and the Western. So I would just say that it can be part of your journey. It doesn't have to be some like a doctor that you're visiting because something's wrong with you. You might just need an hour to yourself. So that's what I would say therapy has been for me.
What is the message that you'd like to share with your fans who were eagerly anticipating the release of Born to Win?
That art is important. Storytelling is music. And, everything is like, we should just, from this album, I would say that, I hope they enjoy it, that it speaks to them, that it speaks to some of the moments they've had by themselves, and that they can, let this be a part of their life. And, I'm excited to bring it on tour and to show them more of what's going on in my mind palace, about this music. And, this time I didn't go first with music videos because I really want to know, now that I'm independent and I have the freedom to make things in the way that I want the fans to be involved. So like, I'm going to be asking my fans which videos they want me to make. And, I already have all of the treatments ready, but I want to do it differently this time and make this more of an interactive thing, because now that I'm independent, I'm directly speaking to my the Kumari kingdom, like my platform. Whoever loves me will come and listen. So those that come and listen, you tell me what you guys love, and I'm going to make, more art. But I really want to thank everybody, for continuing to support my music and, supporting me through all the things that have happened, the way that people have, been challenged by the art that I've made, have made them question identity and where people come from and what they are. And, this album is a lot of healing for me, and it's brought me to a place of, happiness, and the new music that I'm making is crazy. So just thank you. Thank you for being part of the journey.
All right, that's all from our side. Thank you so much, Raja Kumari, for joining us on CNN News 18. It was a pleasure to have you.
Okay, thank you so much.